What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Just, back again with another video. This is your one-stop shop for anime and manga. Let's get into it. Alright, y'all. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. If you're new here and you like my videos and you like what I'm doing, consider subscribing, leaving a like, hit the bell so you know I post another video. Now, let's get into my reading log. What's up, y'all? So, this month has been a little crazy hectic for me. I've had a lot to do, but I did get to read a lot of the physical manga that I finally picked up. Now, for this video specifically, I'm not going to really go into depth on what I read digitally because I basically read my weekly mangas every Sunday from the Shonen Jump app. I'm not really going to go into detail about the manga that I read weekly because there's pretty much nothing to it. I read on the Shonen Jump app, so I'm reading things like Black Clover, My Hero, One Piece, Magical, things like that. Because I read those series weekly, I don't really consider those part of my reading log. That's just something that I basically have to do just to enjoy the Shonen Jump app. When I'm talking about my reading log today, it's going to be some of the physical manga that I've been reading. Because as I started collecting, I started reading a lot more physical manga, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm just going to share that with you here today. First up, I read Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Doubt. So if you don't know what Doubt's about, it's basically just a Among Us Saw type of horror manga that I believe is horror. So there's a group of friends who play this video game together where they have to find out who the killer is, and they've never met, and finally one time that they do all meet up together, they all get kidnapped, and it turns out that they're going to play the game for real. With Doubt, it's very interesting. I like how psychological it is because you don't know the mystery, you don't know who's the killer. It's definitely someone in the group of friends, but you don't know exactly who it is. And I'll be honest, while reading through this, it actually really, it kept me guessing. I didn't really understand who it would be. The ending was a little bit of a twist for me. I didn't think about that. But definitely, if you want to pick up Doubt, I highly recommend it. This is a nice, great horror manga that is just good for anyone. Now, it is rated, I think, T for older teens because there is some graphic content in it. So if you're a little younger, you should steer clear, or ask your parents if you're allowed to read this. Next, I read School Judgment. So I read Volume 1, 2, and 3. So School Judgment is just a short series. It's only 3 volumes, and the art is actually Takeshi Obata, who is by far, I guess, my favorite manga artist. He is an incredible artist. I love all of his work. I love his art style. Now, this art style specifically, it doesn't have his hyper-realistic, like he's known for things like in Platinum End, Death Note, All You Need Is Kill. This is more of his cartoony style, which is similar to that of, I think it was Bakuman, where there's a little more cartoony aspect to it. But even without the hyper realistic, it's just super, super good. The art is amazing. I like the story personally because it's about these group of elementary school kids who basically, to solve anything, any crime or anything like that, they actually go into court with this other students, and they have to basically rampa, which is they argue and testify, and they basically have an entire trial while in elementary school. This definitely is not for everyone. It definitely piqued my interest because of the law aspect of it, having these 10-year-old, 11-year-old kids basically go to court and representing themselves, and the cases that they get involved in, some of them are pretty dark. Like, they really talk about things like murder and things like that in what's supposed to be kids in elementary school. I will say it's good, but it's not for everyone. If you don't have any inkling about the law, if you don't like anything that has to deal with the legal system, you might not like this series. But for me personally, who enjoys that type of stuff, who loves crime dramas, watching crime dramas and things like that, this definitely piqued my interest. And the fact that the art is by Takeshi Obata, I had to pick this up. And it was only 3 volumes, so I picked it up, I read it, and I actually did enjoy this a lot. So I definitely recommend this one if you have an inkling for crime dramas, or you like anything but to do with the legal system. Pick this up because it's just a little enjoyable, fun read. Otherwise, you might just want to steer clear of it. The next series I read is by far my favorite isekai. I'm really enjoying this, and that's The World's Finest Assassin. And hold on, I gotta read this name. I never can say this name. I can never remember this name. The World's Finest Assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. That's the full name of this manga, and it's just an enjoyable series. If you've seen the anime, I highly recommend picking up the manga because the manga is just, it goes into depth about some things. So if this series, basically, the world's greatest assassin gets reincarnated in a fantasy world, and his job is to assassinate the hero of that fantasy world in about 18 years. I think is 18 years. I think he has about that much time. So he goes into his fantasy world with all of his memories intact, all of his skills intact, while learning the new skills of the fantasy world because he gets reincarnated into a family of assassins. So with the new fantasy skills that he's picking up while learning, plus his combined, old tactical skills from the original world, he's basically a prodigy at 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. I highly recommend checking out the anime for this one first specifically, for the simple fact that the anime goes a little more in depth about some of the side characters' backstories that they're not necessarily side characters, they're part of his team. So you go more in depth about them so you get more of a connection towards them. While when I was reading through the manga, they don't really go too in depth about his side characters, about his teammates. About his teammates, because everything is more focused on the main character. So that's the one thing that I don't really like about the manga compared to the anime, for this instance anyway, because I felt like I didn't really have that big of a connection towards like some of the main characters, like the girl right here in the cover. That's basically his right hand, and we don't get to know too much about her when it comes in terms of the manga. But when the anime aired, you actually see her backstory, like a real in-depth backstory for her, and you actually come to grow and come to enjoy her character and become connected with her character. But all I have to say is basically, I know a lot of people don't really like too many isekais because a lot of isekais really have the same premise. Guy gets reincarnated into a fantasy world. Now he's basically a swordsman or magician or mage or anything like that, familiar or something. And it gets kind of tiresome when all of the isekai that kind of have the same premise with a little tweaks here and there. This one, I'll be honest, is not the most, groundbreaking, incredible, unique isekai by any means. But I love the aspect that he goes back in time with his full memories of being a fully trained assassin while learning the new fantasy world of being an assassin as well. The next thing I read was volume 9 of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. Now, if you've seen my videos, if you've watched my channel or anything like that, you know how much I love Zom 100. Zom 100 is one of my favorite, not one, it actually is my favorite ongoing series as of right now. It's just a nice twist on the zombie apocalypse genre. I think it's very enjoyable. It's very funny, especially for someone like me who doesn't really enjoy gag manga, comedy manga, anything like that. Because for me, I don't usually find the jokes funny, but Zom 100 actually makes me laugh while I read it. It's just super enjoyable. Basic premise is the fact that the main character who's working a terrible 9-to-5 job, not even 9-to-5, he's working non-stop, endless 24-hour days. When a zombie apocalypse breaks out, he's just hyped that he doesn't have to go to work anymore. Now he can just chill and do whatever he wants. And that's really the basic premise of Zom 100, is that him and a group of his friends that he meets along the way, they get together and they just want to complete their bucket list of things they want to do before they turn into a zombie. Now, by no means are they trying to turn to zombies or are they infected or anything like that, but they're trying to not only, I guess, cure the world, but they're just living their lives. They're just a group of friends enjoying themselves, enjoying life, even though, it's a zombie apocalypse and everything is dystopian. Not necessarily dystopian, but everything is like all messed up. There's zombies everywhere, different types of zombies. Definitely give this a try because I think you're just going to like it. It's just a nice chill read. Every time I'm having a bad day, that's why I wait. Whenever I'm having a bad day, that's when I pick up the volume of Zom and I just enjoy myself. I forget everything. I just read. And this is definitely my favorite ongoing series right now. So I highly recommend Zom 100. So the next thing I read was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, I've seen all of this season on the anime. I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's becoming one of my favorite series in general. And me reading it is giving me much more love for the series. So not only did, obviously, I read volume 1, but I read all of part 1. I read all of part 2. And right now, I'm currently on volume 6 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure part 3, Stardust Crusaders. As far as JoJo's concerned, I've always had a real love for part 1. Part 1 is one of my favorites. I know a lot of people don't really like the beginning, first 2 parts of JoJo, but I really do enjoy the original part of JoJo. That's one of my favorites. But what I didn't expect was one of my most hated parts is part 2 and part 3 specifically. But after actually reading part 2, I really enjoyed it. This became one of my favorite ones as well. Even though I don't really like the character of Joseph, I love Caesar. I love everything about it. I love Lisa. And definitely part 2 is really good. I didn't expect it to be as good as I like part 1 or anything like that. For me personally, I think part 3 is probably my least enjoyed, for the simple fact that I think it's just too long and I think it gets a little too repetitive for being how long it is. So like I said, I've watched all of the seasons of the anime, and right now I'm currently on volume 6 of Star Wars Crusaders, and I kind of don't even want to read anymore if I'm being honest. Like, I enjoyed what I read, volumes 1 to 6. It gave me a new appreciation for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but honestly, I'm kind of getting a little burnt out already because it's the same thing over and over and over again. Them trying to get to the final villain. They just keep getting stopped, keep getting stopped, keep getting stopped. Volume 6 specifically, they're already in Egypt. So I'm just like, okay, you're at the country you're supposed to be in. Go and face the final villain. I'm tired of it already. It's a little exhausting for me. I might honestly not even just read. I might not read the rest of it. I might just end after volume 6 and then just jump straight to part 4, because part 4 and part 5 are easily my favorites of the anime. I love those with all my heart. Those are my favorite JoJo parts. So to read those, I'm excited for that. I'm gonna be ecstatic because I'm gonna get even more appreciation for JoJo, because as much as I love the anime, I enjoy the anime, I'll be honest, the manga is 10 times better. So if you have the option to either watch the anime or read the manga, I highly think you should just read the manga first, because the manga is just, I think it's better. Even though you don't get the soundtracks, you don't get the colors or anything like that, the manga, the way the manga tells the story, even though it's basically panel for panel, is, for me, it's like more enjoyable, I guess. The last 2 volumes, they're not mangas per se, but they are manga related, and that's the Itachi light novels, Daylight and Midnight. I'm not really a big light novel person. The only other light novel that I've read was the Death Note BB Murder Case light novel. I tried the L Change the World light novel. I didn't really enjoy it, so that one I just sold. But definitely the BB Murder Case, if you love Death Note, give that one a try. That's just a side note there. But so I've been reading the Itachi light novels, and I'm just enthralled on it. I'm not a huge light novel fan, and I can see if this was about any other character, I would not enjoy it. But the fact that it goes so in depth about Itachi's emotional state while he's so young is just so fascinating to me personally, because I know it's not, any clue, but Itachi's one of the most favorite characters in all of Naruto. But Itachi is one of my favorite characters, and to see basically his emotional state so young, because the light novels, they take place when he's essentially a 6, I think like 5 or 6, to, I believe it's when he joins the Akatsuki. I haven't finished the Midnight light novel, but where I'm at here currently, that's where Itachi awakens his Mangekyou Sharingan. I'm not going to tell you how he does it, for spoilers in case you've never seen Naruto, but this much of the light novel is basically, for the second light novel, is where Itachi has awakened his Mangekyou Sharingan. So I assume that the ending of the light novel is basically when he joins the Akatsuki. I love the fact that because I've seen the anime, I know the anime by heart, I can picture a lot of the scenes that take place in the light novel, even though there's no pictures, obviously. And for it to go in depth about Itachi's state of mind when he's, 6 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, that's really eye-opening, because in the anime, personally, I always thought, okay, he's just a prodigy, he does this, he does that. But you actually see a lot of the turmoil and a lot of the way he thinks through these light novels. The light novels are very descriptive, to the point that you truly almost feel sorry that the fact that Itachi had to go through all this. That it wasn't like it wasn't a choice. It's like he had to do these things for the better of the village and for the better of his clan. Even though I love this light novel, I love how in-depth and emotional it is, I'll be honest, I missed my pictures. I really do prefer just reading manga. I mean, reading a light novel is okay, but I like manga. I'm a manga reader. I don't read light novels for that reason. So that's all of the physical manga that I've read for the month of March. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you've been reading for the month of March, or just what you've been reading in general, or some recommendations for other manga that you want me to pick up. If you're new here and you like what I'm doing and you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, leaving a like, hit the bell so you know I post another video. This is your boy Just. I'm off this.